You have to come in ready to go.
An elimination game, it brings out the best in any athlete.
I'm going to go in with the mindset of just trying to run them out the gym.
We try to make sure that we're coming out here playing with life and energy. You know, it's a do or die situation.
You
got to be prepared. You got to be ready. It's going to be hell.
Welcome back to NBA Countdown, presented by Hennessy.
Tonight holds high stakes for two teams that both shook up their rosters by trading their franchise stars this season. Sacramento acquired Zach LaVine, who's averaged just over 22 points, 51% shooting with the Kings, while Anthony Davis played in only 9 games since joining the Mavericks and averaged 20 points and 10 rebounds. Now, the Mavericks, they have been asked continuously to explain the logic behind this shocking trade with Luka Doncic, and they're clearly feeling that heat because yesterday, GM Nico Harrison, he held a closed-door meeting with reporters, no cameras allowed, and he said this: there are no regrets on the trade. Part of my job is to do the best thing for the Mavericks, not only today, but also in the future. And some of the decisions I'm going to make are going to be unpopular. That's my job, and I have to stand by it. Now, elsewhere in the course of this conversation, he also emphasized repeatedly the importance of defense. He said, quote, our philosophy, like I said, going forward is defense wins championships and we're built on defense. And this trade cements us for that. Our senior insider, Shams Charania, is joining us for context in this conversation. But Bob, you spent over a decade in the front office as a general manager with the Golden State Warriors. Did you hold any meetings like this? Well, what did you make of this?
We had problems. We didn't. It wasn't all perfect. And, you know, every team's got issues, right? They all do. And especially if you look closely, and we never scrutinize teams more than we do now. But owning an NBA team is a private business, but it's not private. It's public. Stephen A. makes a career out of commenting on how teams are run, and that's fine. Fans show up and boo and cheer. So it's as public of a private business as you can have. So when things are difficult, Malika, you have to face the music, right? So what Nico said, I'm fine with what he said. Again, I've talked about how I feel about the trade. I feel like they didn't leave themselves many outs. He said we got to win, but it's poker, and he's playing for an inside straight. He doesn't have 5 outs to convince his fans that this works. But for you, what I don't understand, and again, people scrutinize this trade and have opinions of it. Why did they do this closed door? I don't think that really sat well with anybody. Forget about, you know, the local fan, but anybody. It didn't go over very well.
So, Bob, my understanding is Nico Harrison did not want to do this closed-door round table. This was not his idea. This was something that was enforced by their owner, Patrick Dumont.
Really? And so, well, again, I mean, it's hard to run these things. It is hard to run these things. But in a situation like that, you know, I think they were trying to repair some things. It felt like that, but it felt like some of the comments didn't land.
Sometimes less is better. Sometimes less is better. You know, probably already said enough.
What does it tell you, though, that the owner is essentially enforcing this onto the GM?
Well, again, owning a team, you get to do what you want to do, Sean. You get to do what you want to do. But this, I guess I would, anybody in the organization, the Mavericks organization, I don't think they could foresee this. Right, and maybe it's because Kyrie got hurt. Maybe it's because Anthony Davis didn't play right away. They referenced the 2.5 quarters that showed what they could do. But I think what they're doing now is we got to respond to this.
You can do what you want to do as an owner. You can also be called stupid for doing it. And that's exactly what I'm calling Dallas Mavs ownership. Stupid for doing what they did. We live in an age where the podcast world is proliferated. It's taken on a life of its own. The media is people who ain't even in the media, okay? I mean, they're all, because we're all lumped in the same bowl. You got stuff going on, comments out the wazoo, and you think it was wise to mandate that your general manager have a meeting and no cameras allowed? Really? Like, that getting out was going to help you as an organization. It's bad enough you let go of a superstar that's 6 years younger than the guy that you were getting in return. It's bad enough that you didn't get any other assets to go along with him. I understand the Max Christie. I understand, you know, swapping the first-round picks, all of this stuff. You didn't get enough. When Knicks look at Mikal Bridges and everybody looks at that trade and you gave up 5 picks, 4 unprotected first-round picks to get Mikal Bridges, but the Lakers didn't have to do a quarter of that to get Luka Doncic, and y'all have nosedived since, primarily due to injuries, of course. And your response is before a play-in game. Season ain't over. Ain't exit interviews much. There's still a play-in game that they're playing tonight. And before that game, you're going to sit up there and mandate that your general manager has a meeting with the media. By the way, the media, don't bring your cameras, even though that's a part of your, that's one of the tools you use in media. I don't know if you know that, but it is, media people come with cameras. They come with microphones. And he said, don't bring them. This is the dumbest, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard a franchise suggest. And Nico Harrison ultimately looks bad because he goes out there and what does he say? What does he say? We actually looked good when we were on the court together for 2.5 quarters. 2.5 quarters? 2.5 quarters. Now, we all love, if you know Nico, you got love for him, okay? I've known Nico for years. I have never, ever heard him say something that idiotic. Ever. We really looked good for 2.5 quarters. You didn't even say a game. 2.5 quarters? You can't do that. But they did it because that's what's going on in Dallas right now. And oh, by the way, your owner was Mark Cuban, who was a bit wild, to say the least. But one thing we never associated with him was stupidity. This is a first. Congratulations.
I'll tell you what has to happen. Trust is hard to build with a fan base. They had it, right? Because they had trust. It's hard, but now you lost it. Like any relationship. The relationship with your fans has been lost.
Oh, worse. They actually took credit away from the Cowboys.
Well, before we go too far down
that
road.
They did.
You had to do it. You had to do it.
It's the off-season.
Had to do it.
Cowboys.
Not having any sort of out, to your point, though, saying that we looked like a championship team for only 2.5 quarters, to your point, Stephen A. There's nothing that was said here that helped pacify a very, very angry fan base. They want to see a healthy roster on the floor before they're even going to be able, before anyone's even going to be able to need to evaluate what this team even is, Shams.
Kyrie Irving's return, that's the big question now, and that's something, the expectation around the Dallas Mavericks, Kyrie Irving, is that he will play a good chunk of next season. And there's optimism that he will be back for the Mavericks by January. And he's got, before that, a $44 million player option. That's the next situation that Nico Harrison, the Mavericks, will have to deal with. And the goal for the Mavericks has been to rip up his player option and give him a 3-year deal, potentially, to align him with Nico Harrison's 3 years and Anthony Davis's 3 years. Before his injury, he was playing at an all-star level, an all-NBA caliber level, Stephen A. And with this team, say whatever you want about the Luka Doncic trade, and obviously there's a lot of feelings on that. This is a really this is a competitive and talented team.
Let me be very, very
when
clear.
they're on the court.
Let me be very clear. If Kyrie's healthy, Gafford, Lively,
so think about
Anthony
that
Davis,
team next
that's a
year with a healthy
contender.
Kyrie Irving.
But having said all of that, let's be clear. Anthony Davis got a game tonight. Luka shows up and drops 45. That game you had 13. You can't look like that. You got to embrace this, Anthony Davis. You got to embrace this. I don't care if everybody else sticks up the joint. That brother got to sit up there and let the city of Dallas know, yo, I'm here.
You got to make them believe.
Somehow, you got to turn the page and be able to play in a play-in game tonight, and then a win.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Thì hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là ngày tháng. Hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là xe buýt. Bây giờ mình sẽ bắt đầu làm nhé. Hôm nào trời ấm ấm thì đi về, thế không đi chơi
thì vẫn là cần người lai về.
Thì xong đứa kia điều về.
Thì là vẫn về nhà.
Thì đứa kia điều về đi chơi. Ý là sau cái đứa kia nó đèo về thì đi hôm nào trời ấm ấm á.
Đi là thôi đừng nói càng não nào.
Có nghĩa là sau chị đi về, chị đi chơi với bạn nhưng mà chị hôm nào ấm chị mới đi á.
Rồi nhưng mà đi là phải rủ.
Nhưng mà đi là phải có người đèo thì lúc về mới không vướng cái xe của ta thì mới về mới nói được. Người đây là bầu.
Đi xe của nó
Tím nhé.
Rồi thôi.
Giờ đến màu cam nhá. Ôi đời. Tí tắm sửa cho cô.
Bảo quay tới ta còn
Cô đang hỏi là Otis đâu mà đi không
đóng
được.
cửa vào ngón nhạc để con viết bài. Viết bài đi cho mẹ bảo cỏ thành viết trong một trang.
Không có đâu.
Mấy trang để chết rồi.
Đừng mơ nữa, tỉnh bọn đi.
Mọi người đây là một vật can nhá, can đi nhá.
Cô bảo là mày phải tiếng Việt mà.
Cái là nó viết tiếng Việt, nó định bảo đi học toán, xong nó bảo sau viết tiếng Việt xong.
Chết, cái này chết. Học hành thế này.
Chết à?
Cái này mang rồi.
Chưa chứ đổ file tải chưa?
Đủ rồi, nhưng mà đang ấy dở cho nên là từ từ đang dở.
Đây, cái này người đang làm dở.
Đang quay dở.
Thôi.
Vào ô trống.
Đấy.
Dưới. Đây xem nào. Chữ gì đấy? Chữ gì đây? Là ô trống dưới chiếc quần ngắn nhất. Mẹ mình cũng không biết nào. Ngắn nhất, quần ngắn nhất để liền lên tạo ô trống dưới chiếc quần ngắn nhất. Rồi đi ra xuống dưới thì tạo ô trống dài hơn, ngắn hơn, dài bằng. Thành đi mua trà sữa đây.
Tiền.
Mình phải chỗ trống dài hơn, ngắn hơn, dài bằng. Nhường nhau. Đúng rồi. Con ghi chữ dài bằng. Chữ dài. Đây, dài bằng đây. Ghi chữ một hay lá vào chỗ này. Dài bằng. Ngon không? Dài.
Không. Ngon.
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 Ăn hết cả bát rồi.